Viewers, welcome back to another episode from our platform. And we have been in the previous episodes talking with Air Marshal Murti about civil MRO, how it can be a national asset. We have him with us again today. And today we are looking at how civil MRO, in fact, can become a national security asset. So towards this, Air Marshal Murti, what do you think is the role of civil MRO in defense preparedness?
Thank you, sir. In the previous episode, we talked about how civil MRO can support how defense MRO can support civil MRO in certain amount of their business growth and development, and in term becoming a heavy maintenance centers in the latest days. While we dwell on this issue of how civil MRO can become a national asset, a security asset, we use them for operations in moving the troops and the equipment. I'll go into some of the details, how our wars have been, and then what is the present Ukraine and Russia war, and how the air superiority is getting affected, and how we can maintain the aircraft strength and other things to maintain the air superiority. So if we really we had 5 conflicts in which 1948 and 62, the air power was hardly used. So we really do not have much data to talk about, base any of our theory in that. The air power we used heavily in 1965. And in that 17 days of war, the Indian Air Force flew almost 4,000 sorties. So if you really see it, there have been almost 200 plus sorties a day to achieve some air superiority. And it's very essential to have air superiority to maintain the gains in the war. And to maintain the air superiority, you need the number of aircraft, number of sorties to go every day and keep that momentum going. When in 1971, again, the number of sorties which were flown had been almost to the same, that 200 to 300 sorties a day. Now coming to all these battle scenario, if you see, they were very limited up to say 14 days and 17 days. So the entire air efforts which was available, see, like in the Indian Air Force, you have a clause to extend the aircraft life beyond its stipulated life by 30%. So when you have a limited number of days of war, then the 30% probably will come very handy for you to launch all the sorties. And by the time you finish up your 130% of the life of the aircraft, your war has also come to an end. And you're negotiating to stop the hostilities. Whereas under the nuclear hangover, now, if you see, the war is not going to be a day's affair or 15 days or 20 days or months. If you really see the Ukraine war, whereas the asymmetry had been very high, the Russians had more than 900 fighter aircraft, whereas Ukraine had only 124. But the war is continuing for last 3 years now almost. Yeah, we are almost in the finishing 3 years. That too with the economic disparity or the asymmetry as well. So when you really go and study the Ukraine and Russian war, you'll find that initially the Russia launched 200 to 300 sorties a day. And in the first year itself, they had almost 96, in the first 6 months itself, they had 90 aircraft which were lined up for the overall. They were left with no airframe hours in them or no engine hours in them. So the depletion of the aircraft strength has, reduced the air superiority part of the air power, reduce the air power as well as the air superiority gained in the initial stages. So for maintaining the air superiority, what you need is to maintain the aircraft strength. That is the underlying the philosophy in the entire thing. And when in the case of the war, even if you have, like in the base report reports of Indian Air Force or the base report, you have self-sufficiency in certain case, what happens is all your technicians and your airmen will be engaged in aircraft battle damage repairs, because that is the easiest way of putting the aircraft back into the service, is doing the battle damage repair. And even for that matter, if you see HAL also will be busy in battle damage repairs of the aircraft of the type that they are producing or they are experts in. So at that stage, you need somebody to increase your capacity to put back the aircraft into the service. So only the civil MROs which are there, if they can be somehow as a policy, can be part of the part of the defense, protocols, or part of defense, supporting the defense repairs and overhauling, then this capacity constraint can be overcome.
Thank you for that. And that brings us to the question as to how can we make this happen? So in your view, can you delve a little bit into the policy support for MRO growth?
So what I have even dwelt in my earlier missing is that the one is that this civil MROs should not be a standalone civil MROs only. They can have the one vertical of the defense MRO, defense part of with them, wherein they go by the quality management system of the defense, DGA, QA, and Semilac and Semilac, and their civil aviation business goes as per the DGCA. When you have the defense vertical with them, one thing comes to mind is that how are you going to maintain the continuity of this, the people who are trained on that, and the continuity of providing them the business. So in my opinion, the policy should be that when you acquire any aircraft, you not only designate the not only take up the maintenance with the Air Force, also you designate a civil third party MRO as a designated MRO for that particular aircraft, and you start having some sharing of the load of maintenance with the civil as well, and maintain the continuity of their trained manpower. That will most of it will get maintained by those who are retiring from the Air Force and the Navy and Army's aviation. They will automatically get absorbed into these ones, and some amount of training can be maintained, and specific to type training can always be will always be a continuity process. So to maintain that particular vertical of defense MRO part of civil organization, you can maintain the technical manpower, you can maintain the give the maintenance part of the aircraft to them as a load share in the peacetime. So they are ready whenever there is a wartime requirement. They are ready to take up the entire task of the capacity, required capacity gap. They can come and fill up. So that is how I feel is the civil MRO can become part of the defense whenever there is a requirement, and then it becomes you plug in and start using.
Thank you very much for that, Air Marshal Murti, and viewers. I thank you for listening in. And in this series, we'll soon bring you another episode again on this topic of civil MRO as a strategic asset, as a national asset. Thank you very much for listening in today again. Jai Hind.